Kamen Rider Build.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Kamen Rider Build episode 5. So this was another good episode, and actually quite a lot happened in this week's episode. Starting like right off the bat, we got quite a bit of exposition about, actually quite a bit of answers. At least like 2 main answers that I honestly didn't expect us to get this much this early. Obviously we got stuff about the owner because that came up at the end of last week with them finding out that he had one of the panels of Pandora's box. So I definitely expected something significant there, excuse me. And we basically found out he was actually the astronaut that went to Mars that found Pandora's box. And not only that, but he's also the one that like touched it and caused the big event that separated Japan into all these different like mini states, basically. So that was interesting. I wasn't necessarily expecting that. I don't know if that was in any of the spoilers or anything. So at least it was kind of a surprise to me. They kind of asked him like, "Oh, are you a member of Faust?" Like, "Oh, it's an inside job." Like, I honestly kind of expected it to be like a classic. He used to be a member of Faust and then he wanted to do the right thing, but it turns out he was the astronaut guy, and he was saving his daughter, you know, the one that makes the bottles for us, all of us guys. She gets him like, HLJ's like, "Can you just make us more bottles? We need more stock." She's like, "On it." Anyway, but so we went to save her from them, and that's when he picked up the Pandora's thing. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and he wanted to basically become Build, but then decided that he couldn't do it, and that's why he has Sento do it. That part was a little muddled for me. Not muddled, it just came off as weird. Like, I don't know why he couldn't become Build. It's not like in Forze where Kengo was sick, you know, because he was the core switch or whatever. I think that had to do with it, yeah. But I mean, I know he was the core switch. Anyway, this isn't about Forze. But spoiler alert if you haven't seen Forze. It didn't really say why, or at least like the subs didn't translate it correctly, so if there's more of a concrete reason that you picked up on that I didn't, but he just said we couldn't, or I felt like we couldn't. Maybe he just felt he wasn't up to it, but we might get more on that later. I did just find it funny because he's like, the whole thing with Sento just comes off as funny. It's like, "Oh, I found this amnesiac kid. Better make him a vigilante superhero." Like, it came off as funny, but it did sort of explain, like, basically a good chunk of how everything got into place with him and with Sento and stuff like that. So I liked that, and it also sort of continued and opened the door a little bit to some more questions about some things involving what I just mentioned, and also about the daughter as well, like why can she do this, and stuff like that, unless that's been answered, and just, but I don't think so. But so I like that, so that was significant. But also significant this week was the reporter girl, still with the names, ran down a lead on who Sento is, and found this really crazy guy who basically was his roommate and friend, and they were in a band together, and we find out his real name. It's something Taro. I can't remember the first name, or the last name, whatever, but something Taro. And he used to be in this really cartoony looking band, and he was on his way to test out a medicine when he got captured, and it turns out he agreed to do this to get money because his friend needed money. So this was interesting, because I did not expect a clear-cut answer this fast. Since it was kind of one of the bigger mysteries of the show, who he is, and then we get this answer, and it was coming off more comedic, and so I thought it was some sort of ruse, and at the moment it appears that's still not the case. So like, I'm kind of half and half on this. On one hand, it is a little disappointing that there's not more to it, but there very well could be. We're on episode 5, guys. There could definitely be more to this later, that we find out. But on the other hand, it actually kind of makes sense that there's nothing special about him pre-memory loss. I mean, the people that they've been taking for the Smash are kind of random in importance. So that kind of makes sense, and it makes it kind of a neat hero story of he was just kind of this random band guy and then found this purpose in being Build after he lost his memories. And I was thinking, I don't think that Shoichi and Agito had that spectacular of a backstory once we found out, you know, who he was before memory loss. So I was just surprised about how concrete we got things with that. Like, I guess it's just surprising because of how early on it is, and I expected this to stretch out. Like, I thought maybe this week we would get one detail, maybe just a name, or maybe we'd find something out from this guy and then something would happen before they got a name. But it's nice that they're moving along at this pace, and it leaves me curious about what they're going to bring up next, but I almost said build up, but also really excited because we're finding out so much about certain things that they're introducing this early that there's going to probably be even more mysteries in the next 40-ish episodes. So yeah, so that was surprising. Also, in addition to those two pretty big reveals, we got the debut of another best match, which was Nin comic, which is, I think, a really fun form. And yet again, Ryuga just found the combination quickly. Although it's funny because we talked about this on the podcast that the little, letters on the top of the bottles basically tell you what it matches to, and I think it'd be funny if it's revealed that Ryuga's just reading those the whole time and it just went over Sento's head, but I think that if that's not the case, it would make more sense in the show to have that be blank, the little thing at the top, until they found the best match. But whatever. But so that happened, that debut, that was fun. He made a sword for it. And then on top of that, we had a big cliffhanger at the end, or semi-big, in the fact that Ryuga sort of figured out that if they left the smash unfixed or uncured or didn't steal the essence or whatever, then it would go back to base and he could go back and find, the base of Faust and whatnot. So he, after Sento saved his friend at the end, Ryuga knocked Sento out and reinfected him and is planning on following the smash to the base, which I think is really interesting. And it makes sense for Ryuga's point of view because throughout most of this episode, when Sento was investigating these various facets of facets of the couple mysteries going on, Ryuga was like, well, how's this going to help me clear my name? And so he was really antsy about it. So it makes sense. It'll be interesting to see how that comes to a head next week. And it's interesting seeing people make non-perfect decisions like that. Same thing with Sento. This is a really small thing, but I appreciated when he found out his friend was a smash and then Bloodstark showed up, he instantly fought Bloodstark. I feel like if M was like that, it would be like, the patient comes first. And not that you shouldn't save the person, but I like that very human initial reaction of him going to fight Bloodstark first, kind of a knee-jerk reaction. But yeah, very interesting developments. I did find it kind of annoying how cartoonish that one friend was. I really hope that after this storyline resolves itself, he's not a regular character or a regular reoccurring character. I'm sure that if he survives, that there's a chance he'll pop up a couple times given his significance to Sento's past life, but I just hope he's not a regular, because I just did not like him. I kind of hate that type of character, so that was something that annoyed me. I also kind of found it funny / frustrating how fast and loose they play it with Ryuga being in hiding, because they brought him back there to see Ryuga, and then when he was yelling out the door to not snitch on him, 2 people saw him in the cafe as well. So it was kind of one of those things where I'm like, this is kind of stupid, man. But also, it was just kind of funny in a way. But yeah, those are my only real nitpicks about the episode, is I wasn't a fan of the overly cartoonish nature of the friend and the little bit of, lack of consequences to Ryuga being spotted. But overall, I thought it was a really solid episode. I thought they gave us quite a lot for one episode. I realized that when I was watching it, but now sitting here talking about it, I realized how significant it was. I mean, we got a new best match debut, we got reveals about the shop owner, we got reveals about Sento, and then we got Ryuga betraying them at the end to find the smash base. So yeah, Build is still on a really good track. I'm really enjoying it so far. I can't remember last time I was this invested so quickly. So overall, strong episode. I give it an 8 out of 10. Till next time, Kamen Rider signing out.